So we're going to go ahead and get started. I will introduce Angela, and hopefully she will be able to join us. So there are three of us who host Shh, We're Talking. This is typically a weekly live stream that we do. There are times of the year we'll do it bi-weekly, and we basically discuss the creator, um, like the creator economy from our perspective. We discuss different topics. So today we're going to be talking about creating content versus focusing on sales. I think it'll be an interesting conversation, especially as we go into the holiday season. My name is Michelle Jackson. I run a community called Creators Getting Paid that is hosted in a couple places, but we are obviously here on Substack. I ask people how they make money online with the goal of helping creators build out brands, build out brands with recurring income. I started asking that because I kept making money, but the revenue was like all over the place. So I was like, how are other people doing this? I also run another project called Your American Money, which hopefully I will have going live again the first week of October. Angela Hollowell, who is hopefully going to be able to join us. She runs two amazing projects. The first is Please Hustle Responsibly. She talks about the creator economy. There is a fantastic article that came out this weekend on Please Hustle Responsibly. So definitely reach out to get that edition of the newsletter. I'm obsessed. She also runs Melanin MVP. If you are a woman who loves sports, you need to be on that newsletter. I've seen very few uh, newsletters focused on women in sports, so she's doing a really cool job with that project. So definitely join that as well. Corey, who are you and what do you do?
I'm just a simple guy that's just coming along
Oh
for the
my
ride
God.
on these lives. Nah, my name's Corey Gums. I mean, that's how I feel right now. But
No,
my name's
dude.
Corey Gums. I'm the founder of the Black Podcasters Association, community for online community. Well, it's a community. It's online and in person for Black podcasters and professionals within the podcast industry. I also am the founder and I guess editor in chief, since I have a whole contribution team now to
Yeah.
the newsletter blackpodnews.com, which is the newsletter run right here on Substack, as well as a sitting board member of Air Media at the Independent the Association for Independent Radio Producers. And it's not the official name of podcasters as well, but that's what I do. I have other co-own a studio out here in New York as well, but we'll stop there.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, you just do too many things. Okay. And
that's
we
the
talked about
problem.
that last
That's why I'm
week.
tired. That's why I'm
We
tired.
talked about that last week. So last week we talked about being a multi-passionate content creator. So when I proposed this topic, I felt like I feel like there's this when we are creating brands online and building things using the internet, it feels like what we're building is heavily tied also to the content that we put out into the world. And I have been really reflecting on, do we need to be putting out that much content versus does the content have, like, what's the purpose of the content we put out versus what, just focused on sales? Or are they like, are they, you know, connected, which I hope they are. Just I thought we should talk about this. Like, what's the purpose? What's the point? Especially in my case where I'm not necessarily a social media forward brand. So I'm not like on Instagram for creators getting paid. I'm not really I'm not on LinkedIn sharing it. And despite that, like it's almost, I'm just shy of 4,000 people in this project. So it's growing without necessarily being on social media, even though I'm going to test out threads because I actually enjoy threads. So in my case, I create podcast content. I have a website that is not on the Substack platform. So I have content there and I host my podcast show notes there. Um, and then there's content that I put on Substack. Like I have different things happening. It's this like ecosystem that I'm building out. And I'm in the process of building out a membership space, kind of like port like having my website be the portal for all these things, but it's a lot, as you could imagine. I think um, we only have so much capacity, but I feel like currently I'm not going to a lot of events. I will be hosting things in my town, but there's like only so many people here. So ultimately, my goals are, and we talked about this last week, my goals are to help other people make money with the work that they're doing. Um, Adjacent to that is I need to make money because I have to live. And so I feel like there's this like not even a tension, but just a reality. Like you can't eggs are still really expensive in Denver. But also just as we're doing the things we're doing online, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy. And so I think about, content creation versus sales quite a bit. Um, because ideally your content is complementing the sales that you're making. So what are your thoughts, my friend? What do you think about as you work on the newsletter, as you know, have, podcast content, you're on a board, you're doing a lot of stuff. So what do you think about this question?
So the last thing I want to do is add creating videos and social media content to my plate, and I think I've been
Yeah.
avoiding it. Like, um, I'm one of the, I think I'm on the cusp of like the like an old school mentality with a new school mentality. Is like kind of like I still believe in like the sales and the old
Mhm.
way of doing things, even though the people around me, I'm watching what they're doing and I'm seeing how quick they're spinning up and creating these
Yeah.
revenue streams just by simply making themselves present on social media.
Mhm.
And I like to talk about grifters a lot, but I also see like that's
Yeah.
that's how the grift happens too. But and that's part of the reason why I haven't been like leaning towards doing social media content. But I'm getting to a point where like just for the membership for the BPA,
Mhm.
um, just if I decide to go back into consulting like hardcore like I was doing a couple years ago, um,
Mhm.
I would have to have some kind of social media presence. And I think one of my opinions has been like, they say like in sales, like 10 touches before the person actually makes a
Mhm.
decision. I feel like the video component and the way think people do things with TikTok and
Mhm.
reels and stuff like that kind of speeds up that process. So, and because you can put out, like 10 shorts in like one day and just schedule them out over a course of days, those touches happen faster and are more immediate than the old way of doing it. We had to do cold calls and follow up calls and maybe do lunches and do all these different things that might take you 30 to 90 days to close, depending on what space you're in. Like when I did real
Mhm.
estate, like it would take a while for you gotta it was a process. So I think I'm starting to lean more towards like there has to be some kind of video component to your strategy with sales.
Bro, you're literally on a live stream right now. So like as you're talking about this, I'm like, this is literally like
Yeah, this is
why I
part.
do
Yeah,
these live streams.
yeah.
I don't need to show up anywhere else because this is where one, there's a lot of energy behind my brand. Uh, it's really interesting. Actually, we're gonna have a slight side note, like or segue into something. Um, Last week or the beginning of this week, Substack introduced some new functionalities. And so behind the scenes, myself, Corey, and Angela were kind of like chit chatting about this. But it's funny because one of the biggest goals that I've had is to attract people to my work off of Substack. Like I really wanted people to start coming to what I'm doing direct. Like just skipping the middleman and just landing on my content and going direct to my list or into my world. And it was interesting because I discovered that actually there's a pretty large percentage, much larger than I thought, of people coming direct to my content, or excuse me, to my newsletter via the content that I've been creating. So I've been working on all this content, I've been doing this, but even the live streams aren't matching the percentage of people finding what I'm doing um, via the content that I put out. And I was like, that's wild, actually. Specific to Substack, referrals have has been number one. I've had great success with referrals, but the content is definitely where people like that's second, and growing, and so
When
that
you
has been interesting.
when you say content, what do you mean? Like your like blogs or
Podcasts, podcasts, posts. I don't really call them blogs because they're there's no like this is how I feel, and that's how I think of blogging now, like the
okay.
terminology. So like meeting people in real life actually would be the other thing. But definitely like content that I've designed, projects around certain topics, podcasts for sure, collaborations like this. That's what's been growing my newsletter. And quite honestly, notes isn't even on the list. So if you guys are like, do we have to be on notes? Go look at that data because it might be a solid no. And I'm on notes like once or twice a day. That's it. Cause I have other things going on, but it was clear that there were other things. Hi, Dr. Seth, that there were other things driving the growth of my project. So the other thing that's been interesting is both Corey, myself, and Angela have spent most of the summer building out products. We've been really working hard this summer building out a lot of products. And so it's been interesting because I'm beta testing and selling certain things right now. And I think that's the flip side to it is I've been working on all these things, but you also have to have a product to sell and like language around those products as well. And just it's been interesting because I can see the trajectory and I'm getting very excited, but I'm also thinking, where does my energy need to go? Because I don't want to mess this up going into 2026. So, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm in the same boat about my energy, like on that, and not want to
Mm,
mess things up to the point where like now, like, we talked about this too last week, where like I'm starting to learn
yeah.
to delegate certain things. So like with running the BPA, I'm actually building a team to help me run that instead of me just doing all the work so I can concentrate on other things. And one of the strategies in doing that is becoming, doing content through the BPA myself
Hmm.
as well as other people within it doing content for the BPA.
Yeah.
Um, because I think this is where the video component of this conversation comes for me because we do events, we do in-person events, so like B-roll content, showing people the
Hmm.
experience. I think that sometimes showing people the experience versus telling them has more impact. Um,
Hmm.
so when they like with our summer social, like the B-roll, like the video we had for last year's summer social, like that turned over a lot of people for me. Like I got a lot of good feedback from that. And for some
That was
people, it was
great.
like they were like, yeah, that helped them make a decision to purchase a ticket for this year. Um,
Hmm.
and I think I want to utilize video or social media versus just saying, "Hey, join the BPA," doing
Yeah.
the salesy stuff. I want to show people the experience that they get from like just the community itself and the things we do and tell stories in that capacity. Um, it's just the production of this. It's so time consuming, which is why I was like, I need to start delegating some of
Mhm.
these tasks that I'm doing that I'm working on to the team, or better yet, the people have come to me and said you need to delegate to us because I tend to not
Mhm.
ask for help. So
Right.
um but the more I watch people and what they're doing, and I even watch some of the members in the BPA what they're doing with video and stuff, and I'm looking at the comment section. I don't know their data, but I look at the
Mhm.
engagement they're getting and I'm like, I can't ignore this anymore. Like I can't keep
Yeah.
avoiding what I really don't want to do because I see how it helps people. Um,
Mhm.
Like I wonder sometimes, like I'm gonna throw Rob under the bus right now. Like Rob,
Oh,
right? Rob
his
Dunwood,
videos are so good, though. Oh my God.
yeah, but like
That's,
I know he like I know he told me personally like his strategy, what he was going to do with Threads,
yeah.
he gets a lot of traction and engagement on there, and I know it's turning over, turning into business for him. It's converting into business for him. But sometimes I wonder like if he did more video, like what would that look like for him on Threads? Because I'm
But
kind of
he
studying
he
with
posts he posts video on Threads. I saw one
yeah, but if he
today.
did more like you did, because I must not be getting them then because I'm
It's
not seeing his
it's a
videos.
short one. It's a short video. It's like a teaser for today's podcast.
Yeah.
So
Or
for those of you
or
who
like
are
what I see with
wait,
sorry.
what I'm going to tell them who Rob is though, because I want them to know about the podcast. Sorry. So Rob Dunwood is one of the co-hosts of the podcast, The Tech John. Himself and the two other co-hosts talk about tech and the tech like world from a black perspective. It's so good. I listen to it every week just so you guys know who the heck we're talking about. Okay, go for it. Sorry.
Just so you know, it's Jawn, Jawn. And if you're from Philly, you know
Yes.
what that is. That's a Philly thing. But uh or I'm gonna throw my homegirl DJ Tracy Treese on out there too. Because she does a WNBA she does a WNBA podcast, and I see what she does with video. And she what she did with video, like I see, like I remember when she first started to where she's at now, it's led to her getting press passes and doing interviews with players and stuff like that. So excuse me. So I was like, I see how video being more front and center via video can help build not only just build your brand, but can help convert into whatever it is your goals are trying, whether it's sales or you're trying to just increase your presence. Um, and I do appreciate that on here on Substack. Excuse me.
Are you
Um,
okay? Do you need water?
yeah, all of a sudden I'm good. I have water here.
Okay. All right.
Uh, like even like the clips that are made from this and automatically uploaded to YouTube Shorts from our lives has I've got more subscribers on YouTube. We're getting more views. I think I cracked the 6,000 view mark since I
Mm,
started adding it to some, and that's only like I only added what we're doing to my YouTube page 3 months ago. So
mm.
like there is a value there in regards to incorporating video as a tool to help you. Um, I haven't experimented with sales yet, but I think when I finally complete my course and I'm ready to roll that out, I think it's going to be a video component to it.
I think it's really interesting that I did not mention anything to do with video, but that was the thing you start talking about related to content.
Well, I mean that's the thing. That's the majority of what content I see right now. Like it's the video stuff, like TikTok and Reels,
Mhm,
and it could be because the space I'm in. I'm not a writer, so I don't really engage in blog slash written content. So like that's
mhm,
not really my thing. So I don't know. I know the value of it via SEO and stuff like that, but I don't. That's
mhm.
not a part of my strategy right now.
Um, I'm gonna be honest. So today I was kind of struck by all of the live stream notifications that I got on Substack today. Like just notification after notification after notification. And so one of the things I thought about was in general, I do actually have social media fatigue. And it has gotten actually a lot better because I'm not consuming as much. I'm just not. I'm on Threads because I have fun with it, and even then, I'm actually rethinking like how that will look like because I do want to leverage Threads for sales. And so I've been thinking that like I'll probably post things between 9 and 3 Mountain Time, Monday through Thursday, and then just be like random, which I enjoy the other times of it, like on the other days. So I'm leaning towards like really testing that out because there's a lot of energy behind the platform. Um, and so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But there are a lot of people who are really doubling down on building their lists, but they are not on social media at all. But they do things like video behind the scenes, like in private communities, or so like that's more me. I don't know that I want to be super up front. I don't have the urge to be like, this is like the most un-Leo thing I'm about to say as a Leo. I don't need to be the star, right? Um necessarily for my brand, right? um where I have to like show up and I'm like doing all the things, whatever. I just feel like I would find that really distracting and overwhelming from the mission of the work that I'm doing. And so I'm really trying to like navigate how I naturally want to show up in the world, the impact I want to give, and how do I make the money adjacent to that? Like how does that work? And so it's been interesting following people who have social media, like they have no social media. They are purposely not on social media, and just kind of seeing how they're building out income, how things have changed this year actually. So I think a lot of people have had a very interesting year with all the things going on. But I think moving forward, I will continue to be a social media light person, but I think where my energy specific to content and sales, it may be really connected to just building deeper relationships with people. And that's always been the thing that's paid me, is knowing people.
Yeah. What do you think about the strategy that now I'm gonna shout out Akila Tompkins Robinson from Girl Get Visible.
Ooh,
'Cause I know she's been yeah, she's also the founder of SEO Assist, which is a
okay,
software to help people with SEO and their content.
okay.
She's been doing I guess I'll say a case study. So she sees this, she could correct me later on, but a case study of like doing faceless content.
Ooh,
And she's been running like experiments on her channel, like on her TikTok and stuff. And she's been showing how like even with faceless content, so like if you like you don't want to be
mhm,
all up all front and center in their content, your video content, let's say for this conversation, um, she's kind of been promoting that and doing workshops and stuff on that. And she's showing like how it's been helping her with her youth or her TikTok channel and showing the numbers like how many views she's been getting at and the percentage that's gone up from the other type of content she's put out. So I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of looking towards that because you said something that was important and something I always talk to people about is, and as we see what's been going on with social media this past week, like when you decide to, when you make the decision to put yourself out there, whether it's on video, like how we made a decision to do these lives, right?
right.
You're not putting yourself and your life out in the public sphere for ridicule, judgment,
Mhm,
investigation, all of that stuff, right? And I think from a lot of people that's also a concern about whether them deciding if a video, I'm going to say video because I know we're talking about different types of content, but video being something that might make them very skeptical. And even for somebody like myself, I've been doing this for a long time now, well,
mhm.
5 years now.
That's
Um,
a long time.
yeah, I didn't realize until like this week. I was like 5 years. Wow. Funny story. Sunday, I'm in a whole. I'm at my spot that I go to and do work in Brooklyn.
Mhm.
And this young lady turns to me, she's like, "I know you."
Whoa.
And yeah, and I'm like, "I don't know you." Or, that's
But
usually
you're
my retort.
but you're famous. Like I said,
See, and that's the
I was
thing,
in
I don't consider my
Brooklyn. I was in Flushing. A random person from another state ran into someone who knew you. Thank you for that person who bought me my birthday dinner. That was awesome. But I'm just saying, like, that was wild. I was like, this city's big to be running into people that you know. That was crazy.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, don't you have, like, a podcast thing?" And I was like, yeah, I have a community." She's
Whoa.
like, "Yeah, I want to come to one of your events." And for me, somebody who doesn't wanna be in the spot like you were saying, you don't wanna I don't wanna be in the spotlight. And one of my
Mhm,
biggest concerns has been with, and I think that's part of the reason why you don't see me put out a lot of video content. I'll do lives, I'll do interviews because that's just part of, me promoting what I'm doing. But I don't like when someone it's just something, maybe it's the old school New York in me. It's like some random person comes up to you telling you, "I know you," you like, you get on your defensive because like that usually
I don't know you.
that use yeah, exactly. Like, yo, where you know me from? I don't know where I know you from, but and that was always a concern of mine when I was younger because somebody would always say I look like somebody. So I got like trauma with this stuff. But I always like, but I also was like, I don't want to be bigger than the brand that I'm trying to create, which is the BPA. I want people to look at the BPA as its own entity, its own organization. I'm a part of it, just like all the other members. Even though I'm the founder, I'm still a part of it. But I don't want people to think that it's me. And sometimes I'm skeptical about putting out video content, and making me the spokesperson, so to speak,
Mhm.
because then people are relying, people are saying are coming because of me and not necessarily because of the product or or the value of what we're offering. So I'm always kind of like skeptical about taking that approach, but I'm getting over myself in that space. And
Mhm.
some people might disagree with what I'm saying or might have some input. Please put in the comments if you do. But for me, it's just these things that I think about and why I'm always hesitant to do that side of creating content. Um,
So
and I think it's a
I
valid concern, especially like putting yourself out there.
mhm. So here's a question. How do you, when you're making sales, what does that look like? So everybody, part of the reason why we're also talking about this and why I propose this topic is we're going into the fall selling season, right? We are actually like, if you haven't sat down and you have a brand and you sell things, if you haven't sat down and thought about like how you can get your products, your services, what have you, out into the world and get some sales from now until the end of the year, beginning of January, I feel like you're a little behind in terms of timing. And so I say this because I've listened to a couple of really great podcast episodes around just thinking about, like, the time of year we're in, how these creators are communicating what it is they're preparing to do, how they're prepping their community for the things that they're gonna sell, how, like, clear they're being, so that people aren't confused about what that creator's about to do, how they're prepping people just so that they can get their money together so that they can even say yes to what it is they're selling. So that's part of why I wanted to talk about this now because the window is tightening up. Like, we're 2 weeks away from October. Um, then it's, Canadian Thanksgiving. It's Halloween. I hope to see T-Pain here in Denver at Red Rocks for Halloween. Um, then it is Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, Boxing Day for the countries that observe that. Americans don't do that. New Year's, and then January. So there's like these huge things coming up. Other things that may be more important if you're viewing from different countries. So this is part of the reason why I wanted to talk about like how do you how are you making sales if content isn't what you lead with? And so I just think it's an interesting topic. I feel like sales for me is very much a part of content design, actually. And so when I'm putting content out, some is not for generating a sale. It's more to get people to know who I am, what I do, what I'm thinking about, what I advocate for, on behalf of the people that I serve. Other things are very clearly a part of positioning what it is I'm selling. So a good example is I'm writing a book. So in a couple weeks, I'm gonna go to the mountains. I'm gonna write this book while I'm up there and get it done. And I'm gonna pre-sell it. Like most people, if you get a chance, you want to pre-sell your work, right? So I wrote, I hope I published it before I say this. I wrote and published and I think recorded a podcast about self-publishing books and why I've decided to publish direct to reader instead of leveraging Amazon. I've just decided to approach it differently. So that way, later as I start talking more and more about like in the book, the concept that the idea of what is to come, it's not a surprise when I'm like, "Oh, by the way, it costs money." You know what I mean? Like, "This is how it can help you. This is what's going on. This is the pre-sale." And so that's the other part of the, like, content conversation that I'm thinking about is how it helps to position things, but also how people experience you. So like last week was wild. I'm not gonna get into particulars. Uh did you see that the two people from the Iran Contra deal got married? I gotta figure out their names. I can't remember it right now, but that was wild.
Not
If you're of a certain
you mean
age,
Oliver
you're
North?
like, what? Yes, Oliver North and that lady, they got married last week.
See,
It
so much
got like
happened last
lost.
week. So many things got, yeah.
It was
It was a
wild.
distraction.
It's a very aggressive week last week. So I bring up last week because I feel very deeply that the content that you put out in the world helps people to understand you more. And I feel like this might be a little like veering off the path. I feel like there are a lot of people who calculate how their content will be so that they're palatable to people in a way that will always get them to get a sale. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like you should just design your content being candid about who you are, right? If you're vegans are a good example. Vegans will never not let you know that they're vegans. You're never not going to know a vegan is a vegan, right? Okay, like I was a vegan for 1 month. It was too much. I was a vegetarian for 5 years though. Okay. And so, like a vegan, you will never be confused about where they stand about eating flesh. They're not going to do it. Okay. And they're irritating, but I love it because I understand what's going on. And I feel like as creators, building front facing projects, even if we're not like the face of what we're doing, content design helps to bring people in or push them out, right? And it was wild to see how many people were just so disingenuous and outed themselves almost in many ways. We'll just say it vaguely, and upset their audiences because the audience were like, we what? Whoa. We thought this
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
It was almost like they got
Target is a good
blindsided.
example. Yeah, they were blindsided. I think Target, because I don't want to get all into that. Target's a good example actually of this, where we were experiencing Target one way, and then they just were like, actually we're not about that life, guys. We just, we're not. So I think about content also as a way to just be like honest. This is who I am.
There's a
This
perfect
is
meme for
who,
last week.
you know, oof.
There's a perfect meme. It's surprise, surprise. You know that meme.
Oh my God.
Um,
So
yeah,
go for it.
yeah.
Go for it.
What do you think about? Because I've attempted a couple times, and part of it is because I don't have the capacity and the time right now. But
Mhm.
as I start delegating and freeing up my time, one of the things I always like, and you see a lot of it in the tech side of the tech bro space, was building in public, right?
Right.
Actually taking your users on, your audience on a journey with you as you're building. Kind of like what you're saying, like writing, talking about self-publishing. So that's
Mhm.
kind of like building it's part of the building in public. Talking about your experiences, things you learned. It's almost like a putting a personal blog out there, just showing people like
Mhm.
it's like a mixture of BTS and a personal vlog and all these different tools rolled into this one concept. And I've always liked that thing where like I get an opportunity to sit down and show you what I'm doing and explain my train of thought, what I'm feeling, what direction I'm going in, why I'm going in that direction, or why I feel like I should go in that direction. But it's also something that for me that's hard to do because I always forget to turn on the camera.
Mm.
Like I'm so hyper focused on things what I work on that sometimes I have all these cameras around me, and I just forget to press record, or even like doing some audio content. Like it doesn't have to necessarily be video. I have a microphone that sits right here in front of my face every day. I literally should
Mhm.
just take the 6 inches that it takes for me to just press record and just talk into it while I'm working, and I'm always not conscious of doing that. So my effort is going to be to try to like on like creating that content. And now I think about it, I could even do like the audio content and transcribe that into written content,
Mm.
using like Notebook LM
Descript.
or Descript.
Mhm.
Well, I don't have Descript, but using ChatGPT or one of those Perplexity, whatever AI tool I decide to use. Um, And I think that's the other part. Is like I'm trying to now start learning to understand how to streamline this content creation process and utilizing
Mhm.
the tools that are always at my fingertips that I keep ignoring or forgetting about. So that's the
But
struggle
here's a
I've been having.
question. What was the content do for your business? Like that goes back to the heart. Like if you're growing a business and you're trying to earn income, the content that you already put out, what is the purpose of it? Like why are you by the way, guys, there's 3 of
I
us
don't
on this live stream. Angela's not with us today, but baby Groot is with us. This was a gift to me by a little 6-year-old. I know this is so weird, but it's so cute. So there are 3 of us, baby Groot. I showed this to him earlier.
I
He's like,
Groot.
so there are 3 of us today, but and I want to say welcome, by the way, to the following folks who joined us: Deborah, Moon Mountain, House of can't see it, Anari,
I'm not.
Alphonse, Anari, Adrian, Marcus, Amy, Christina, Michael. Hi, Michael. Tim, Country Girl. So I just want to let you know that we are saying hi. Angela, is that you? Girl, I think
She's
it
fat.
might be our Angela. She might be what? Okay, look
No, I
at
don't think
your,
that's
look
her.
at
Because
are you
I
sure?
sent to Angela. Nah, yeah, I sent her an invite. So if she had, it was sitting here for the
But
longest,
maybe
but
okay, I hope she's good. I just got distracted so badly. So, what
how's it
like
translate to
why
sales? You mean?
yeah, like what actually a different question is what do you do to make sales? Like how do you like starting today moving forward, like what's the vision? You're building a course, like you're doing all these things. Like what is the purpose to any of this that we're doing for you?
I think for me it's more. I think for the course, I think a lot of it is the personal brand because a lot of people don't know who I am or what I do, and
Mhm.
I think this helps them to. I think like the lives and us having conversations and expressing views and opinions and any and expertise helps to make people say, "Oh, I like working. I want to work with Corey." Right? Like this is he's got
Mhm.
the personality that way. The building public thing, I think, will also help with sales because it shows you how like it gives a perspective on how I think and how things function. And for that person that this fits for, it'll be like, yes, this is what I'm looking for versus like you going and spending money on something and saying, hey, this is not for me, right?
Mhm.
It's and I'm still trying to figure it out. So I'm like still in my ideation period of like how do I want to approach this? Because it wasn't a part of my plan. But like how we mix sales with the BPA, a lot of my sales came from interviews. Like I always notice an uptick when I do an interview on a podcast, when we do lives, um, when I've been in a
When
public
when
setting.
you're a guest on someone else's show or if
Yeah,
you're on
both
okay.
this
So
this as
so
well.
so here's my question. Why would you do any other content but that? Why would you add
No, because
anything
I don't
else? Bro,
because
like it
but because unlike you,
like just because you can do all those things doesn't mean you have to do all those things is my point.
no, that is true. And that's been one of the things we've talked about this. Like one of the things is trying to narrow down
Mm,
where like what social media platforms I want to focus on, and
mhm,
which one I think we get the best results on, right? So like Substack, doing these lives, especially for like the
mhm.
newsletter has been great for me. Um, Threads, I'm noticing Threads has been, I don't know, Threads is kind of turning to trash right now over the past week, but Threads has been a good place for me to get like engagement from people because I kind of treat it like old Twitter, like how Twitter used to be.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
we're not like we have a TikTok page, but I don't do anything on there
Mhm,
and part of me is like, should I look at LinkedIn for the course side? Should I be looking at LinkedIn and for some of the other ideas that I want to execute for with business owners? But I don't even like being on LinkedIn like that. So like so you're right about that part. I just have to make a decision on what is the approach I want to take and then
mhm.
concentrate on that. Um I like the idea of the building public format because it's just natural for me. right? The
Right.
engineer explaining how things work, showing you how it
Mhm.
works, getting you to understand, like think, talking it out, showing my process. Um, that works for me, and it's more comfortable for me to do it that way. So that's why I'm looking at it that in that capacity. I'm looking at like what's the low hanging fruit for me
Mhm.
to be able to just do this process. I don't have a production team that's like Corey, show up in the studio. We're gonna do a series of videos. Here's a script, yada yada yada. I'm trying to get to that
Mhm.
point where I don't have to do that work and I just show up. But if I'm gonna be doing it now, I gotta just do what's comfortable for me and what I feel like sitting down. Ask me to get in front of a laptop and write a series of articles and stuff. I have to be in the mood to do that. Like I have to be
Oh
heavily
yeah.
motivated. Like somebody had to
Yeah.
piss me off or something like that for me to be like, all right, it's time for me to sit down and write this stuff out. Right.
Yeah.
So I know who I am and I know how I am with certain things. Will that
Mhm.
change over time as I get better and learn more? Probably. Will it work for me? I don't know yet. Right now it's experimental. Like it's like let's see if this works and figure out. We'll do some data and test it and get some feedback. And then if it works, then I'll stick with it. If it doesn't, well, I'll just pivot and figure out another way of doing it.
I wanted to bring something up that is relevant to everyone on here, especially if you're building a project utilizing the Substack platform. So, um, it's really interesting to me as I like look at people's comments, especially towards the end of summer. People were like, "My Substack isn't growing," and, like, there were a lot of comments about, like, unsubscribes and paid subscribers going away and stuff like that, and I was like, that's probably seasonality because it's summer and the end of summer, and people have other things that they're doing. But Substack my experience with Substack has been really interesting because I've really enjoyed it. I really love the people that I've met. I think that a huge conversation that I feel like most people aren't having or reflecting on, um, or sharing is that the referral engine is fabulous, but when you're getting referred to, or when people are referring you to their people, that starts you at like day number 2 with them, not day 365. And so there's this whole like process of getting people to know who you are and what you do and how you could be of service to them, whether it's paid or not, like whether it's free, what have you. And I feel like we don't talk about the amount of time it takes to warm people up, just in general, warm them up to have them even want to refer other people to you, warm them up to have them share the projects have them feel safe enough to share the projects that they're doing with you, like that they know that you're a safe space for them. And so I wish people as they are crafting their work on the platform and kind of thinking about business design and what they're trying to do specific to building a subscription tier or not. I want you to keep sight of the fact that it takes a while to warm people up. Like, there's enthusiasm that we get excited about, like, people are excited about you, but you gotta date for a while before they're ever gonna do anything adjacent to purchasing. And I think that that is a way under discussed conversation specific to even Beehive or any of these other platforms. There's just time that you have to put in. How that looks is up to you, but I wish people thought like, were aware of that so that they're not, like, upset with themselves because they aren't reaching the metrics or the numbers or the results that they're hoping for. So, the people who joined my newsletter last year, I feel like are just now super warmed up this year, if I have anything to sell. You know what I mean? Because they had to get to know me. Am I consistent? Am I showing up? How I just show up in general. So, like, they know that I'm not gonna be, like, live streaming 1,000 times a week. They know this because 'cause I've said it. They know, like, my views on things because 'cause I'm pretty, like, "This is what I think," and you know what I mean? Like, it just takes people a while to get a feel for who you are, and I feel like the role of content helps with that, but also just content design helps with the sale. So they might read something, connect with something, and then like a year later, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm there." So a good example, actually, this is random, but a friend of mine is a huge fan of eBay, huge, and he's in the personal finance space. So this was his side hustle for years, and I'm like, bro, I don't know about this eBay. Like I was just like nervous about eBay. And then finally, I don't know what happened, but I was like, okay, I'll tentatively try it because there was a romper that I wanted from Express from a couple years ago. And I was like, maybe eBay has it because my friend had unknowingly taught me how eBay worked. Right. And like, because I felt intimidated by it. Like I didn't understand. And so I'm a proud owner of that romper from years ago. I bought a new one in the size that I am now. Oh God. But it took a while for me to take that action. And now I'm going to buy a couple other things because now I trust it. But it took like years. And this was eBay. It's like a real business, it's established. And so I share that really random story just to say that, like, people are paying attention and they're filing it away in their heads, but it may just take longer for them to do the thing that you hope they will do because of whatever reason, you know?
It's relationship building. You're building a relationship with
Yeah.
these people, with the people that with your audience. And just like anything, there has to be a level of trust that you have to build, and trust is not built overnight. You
No.
know, and I think in this age where where we're inundated with all this information and lightning speed, and news cycles and everything, content cycles too, right, are constantly changing, and you're constantly being inundated by people who are trying to grift, while you're also being inundated with people who are serious about their business.
Mm,
um, and it's kind of hard. It is, and that's why I don't like being on TikTok, because
mm,
you're constantly just getting hit and inundated with all these different things that it's hard to make a decision. But it's also how people get suckered into things, you because you built this relationship with this content creator, and
mm,
you built, and yeah, they presented a persona, but you also
mm,
created your own persona based off that persona, or your own interpretation of their persona. So like what happened last week, where people felt blindsided, it's like, oh my gosh. But then, like they always say, hindsight is 2020. The signs are always there. It's just
mm,
you just never paid attention to it because you were so enamored with this personality that's being presented in front of you. And I think when moments like that happen, where somebody gets suckered by a celebrity, or somebody who they put a lot of this time and effort to learn, and then to realize that maybe they have an ideological difference, or maybe they didn't like something they said, or
whatever.
they support, or whatever the issue is, that level of trust breaks, and it becomes a trauma that they put across the board. So now you got to
Right.
now you got to work even 10 times harder to get that person engaged with you, because now they're extremely skeptical because they've been hurt by that level of trust. So like I look at, like, we sent out some posts today. I had broke the 4,550 mark a couple days ago.
Oh,
Yeah, but now we're down to 4,440. Just over
oh,
some posts
well,
we sent out today. And I kind of blame the Substack recommendations machine, because I think, I see when it does to me when I subscribe to somebody's newsletter, where it's just like, hey, subscribe to these, and you just want to get it off your screen, and you just press a button, and now you subscribe to this
right.
newsletter that you may not even be a fit for you. So what happens is,
Mm,
when you get an email blast and you're like, what is this? It's like, I don't want to be a part. This is not what I was looking for, or this is not what I was expecting. And then you just unsubscribe. So in my brain, that's how I kind of do. I could be completely wrong, but
mm,
I've been doing this long enough to be like, every time certain types of blasts go out, we lose subscribers. But then
yeah.
a couple of days, but then maybe a week later, then all of a sudden we get a huge jump. So that tells me that it's kind of the list purging itself, because somebody might have signed up and realized this is not what I thought or this was not for me. So I don't even
Mm,
take that stuff personal anymore. But I realize there is a trust cycle that has to happen in there too, right? And
mm,
so for me, when I think of content for the newsletter, it's make sure we keep it to a certain standard, make sure that this information is impactful, valuable, and eventually, and this is because people have physically come to said this to me. It's like, I love what you share in the newsletter, right? This is the or they'll bring up a particular piece of content that we put out, and it'll be like, hey, that was great. You know, I'm glad you did that or whatever. I get some kind of feedback when I run into people, and, or they chase me down because that's happened a couple times too at events. So, but I think we have to remember this. You're building a level of trust, and sometimes depending on the type of content and approach you're taking, it's going to take some time to do. Especially if you're putting out content that is challenging people in their perspectives and I'm not even talking about like politically. I'm just talking about like even in this space, right? You
Yeah.
might I have certain perspectives on content creation that somebody around me might say like, oh, I'll use myself. Rob Dunwood for years was telling me to start a newsletter, and I was not listening to him.
Oh yeah.
It took me almost 3 years to start the newsletter, and he
Mhm.
was telling me from my before we became the BPA on Facebook. And he's like, "Yo,
Dang.
like, what are you doing about a newsletter?" And
Mhm.
I wasn't in a space where I was ready for it. And when I finally decided to do it, I was like, and I remember I went back to him and was like, I was like, yeah, I should have listened to you sooner. Now I understand what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes people, it takes time for people to get over get over themselves, two to learn and to under and I think for me, I just my pushback with Rob was I just didn't know how I was going to do a newsletter. I didn't understand how I wanted to do
Right.
it. It was a
Right.
catalyst from a conversation that made me realize, oh, now I want to do a newsletter because I wanted to solve a problem that somebody brought to
Uh-huh.
my attention. So, you know, sometimes it's as simple as that. So, like, but I've learned over the years, over these past couple of years of running this newsletter, it is a level of trust, and you just got to just stay. You know, you keep hearing everybody say stay consistent, and it's kind of like
Mhm.
I hate when I hear it. But what we're talking about right now, it is a level of consistency because that's how you build the trust and the relationship with your audience.
Mhm. It's funny because you produce this huge piece of content, right? That is written, which is your newsletter.
Well, I
I'm just
contribute,
throwing
so
that out there.
I can't
Uh,
take all the credit. We have contributors
but
that come in and
but
do
I'm just
content,
I'm
but
not saying no no I'm saying that you are the editor of this very large piece of content. I'm not saying you're writing all of it.
yes,
I'm just saying like
yeah,
it's very interesting to me. So I think as we were talking, I was like, what where do you consume content? I think so. I want to share kind of how I consume content because it's changed quite a bit. I've found that I'm just not as interested in things. Like it takes a lot more for me to be excited about something. Um, there are some people, some creators that I'm just so geeked out for, and I want to like interview them. I tested out a pitch for a few of them and they like ignored it. So that was too aggressive. So there's a guy named Richard who knows Japanese, and I think he lives in Japan. I know he lives in Japan. He's freaking hilarious. Oh my God. He does based content. He does these like different scenarios about being black in Japan. And I was a little girl when I lived in Japan because I lived there for 2 years, but everything about what he does excites me. I think it just takes a lot for me to be excited because I feel like people are doing a lot of formulaic work, right? Because ChatGPT, because of a lot of things, because it's hard to be really creative. There's a woman, I think her name is Cheyenne the Geek, who just recorded like a comedy show about a black owned comic book store in LA, and I'm
okay, yeah,
obsessed. I want to
yeah.
interview her. Obsessed about everything she's doing. So I think part of content is just like we're in a creative space and a creative business, and I just wish that people would have fun with what they were doing. Like think outside the box, take risks, try something new, because I think it's going to be increasingly more difficult, first of all, to get above the noise with all of like all these similar projects being developed because there's no unique like perspective. There is an actor, his name is I want to say Jason O'Neill, very handsome black guy. He's in the
Oh,
movie One of Them Days. And
Yes, I
I
know.
will
I love him.
never forget.
Yes.
He's amazing.
Yes.
Okay. And part of what I love is, and he's doing video content. So he'll do like, I loved when he did, um, this, like, first of all, he fundraised to pay for this. So he did a sci-fi video, like a 5 or 8 minute sci-fi vignette kind of thing that he designed. But then he crafted all these other pieces, and he was also doing like behind the scenes, like, follow me, this is what's going on. He just seems like a wonderful guy who I wish had a brother who was 15 years older. My point is, um, I love how he built out his content. Wisdom Kane is another one. He's the number one fashion creator out there, in my opinion. Um, it has been really interesting today because he had an issue with Miu Miu, which is this huge brand. He went and paid like $18,000 for some items. They broke twice, and he was like live streaming. And Miu Miu actually, like, sent out a replacement for the first time, and then it broke again. And I was just like, because $18,000 worth of, like, product, and you gonna break outside, like, just it was wild. But Wisdom Kane, or K, is so cool because he does these really unique, like, styling experiences with him, where you're like, "Hey, Wisdom, could you style a samurai from the anime show blah blah blah?" And he's like, "I don't know if I," and then he's like, "Dun, dun, dun," and it's like the coolest thing ever. So I think what I'm touching on is that most people, even myself included, we can be kind of boring, and I think it's because a lot of us play it safe within the stuff that we're doing because we don't wanna make waves, we don't wanna upset people, but you're gonna upset someone. People are weird these days anyway. Someone's gonna get weird about whatever it is you do. And so if you have these, like, ideas that you wanna test out the idea. Either people are gonna love it or hate it. I have a huge idea that I wanna do for my personal finance podcast. I have never in my life, 10 years, 10 to 12 years, I think, of creating in that space. I've never seen anyone do what I'm about to do sometime next year. I'm gonna fundraise for I'm gonna crowdfund for it because I think it's gonna be a little expensive to do. I am so excited about this project. And when I tell people like a little like this is what I'm looking, they get excited too. They're like, oh. So I want also for people because we get fatigued around like doing the work that we're doing to have fun within, as we ideate around like how we're going to attract people to the work that we're doing, how we're going to excite them. Um, I find a lot of stuff really boring now. I find a lot of stuff kind of repetitive. Remember the other day when you guys were like, "Are you even on YouTube?" I'm like, "Not really," because I just no, I'm not excited by it anymore. I'm not on TikTok. I haven't been on TikTok since 2023. But there's a really specific reason why that happened. I couldn't remember who the creators were because the feed fed me stuff so fast and their handles weren't memorable. So I couldn't figure out who the hell they were. I was just like, I remember that one guy, and then I would go through the feed trying to like, there's a really specific political creator who's amazing. He like reenacts things, and he is in my top 5. I don't know what his name is. Like, of all time, my top 5 creators. I can't remember how to find them ever on TikTok. And so that happened with, like, several people and just it was just too much, and I was like, "I'm gone." And I think that a lot of people, I think quietly are starting to feel that way. That's why when I was listening to Creator Science today. I think it was Creators no, it was Tyler Dink's, podcast, which is not Creator Science, it's Creator I can't think of the name right now. Anyway, and his guest was talking about how, like, I think it was this one, like, community, like, actually getting in front of people and connecting with them is really the way that we really where our focus should be. And maybe it's not content, maybe it's just hanging out with people, just hanging out, you know?
Yeah.
because I can't remember them on TikTok because there's too many of them on there. I can't, I literally, I'm like, who are you people? Just because I watched one person make a salad doesn't mean I need to be fed 8,000 people making salads.
Plus the
Or,
algorithms.
one person chopping wood in Scotland. I don't mind that you send me 75 of them, but I really liked the first person and now I can't remember who they are. Just, like it's just really hard, I think, to, you know, sift your way out of the bunch. And I think people just have to be really thoughtful about, like, if you're creating content, what's unique? What's fun for you? What risks, within what you feel is comfortable can you take? You know? Does any of this resonate, people? You guys have been quiet today. I got questions. Why are you guys so quiet? Yeah, does this resonate
Oh,
with you? I mean, everyone stayed on, so I think it's interesting, but like, does this resonate with you guys? Like what we're talking about? Have you thought about this? Are we just like getting too in our heads about the idea of content creation?
no, I think I'm with you like about consuming content. You asked me, I mean, I think now that I got my neurodivergence diagnosis last year, I think I have a kind of a shield. Shout out to my guy Marcus. Good to see you in Marcus. Uh, I kind of have a shield because I can't watch things that are not of interest to me. But I know what you feel about the content creators because I've learned to just follow them immediately if I like the content,
Yeah.
and I'll just go and follow them if I don't like it in the future. But then I still don't remember their names. So what happens is the algorithm might not show it to you for 6 months, and then all of a sudden you're getting all these videos from this person.
Yeah.
Like there's a Russian guy who did like these. He's been doing it for like 3 years, and he's been building in the forest, been building this like log cabin, and it's really boring, but it's really interesting. Like his
I would
narration
be
is
interested in that.
boring, but he like yeah. And for a while, I was seeing all his videos, and then it just completely disappeared. Like
Uh,
even when I would like him, like I would do like the little things I think the algorithm would say, like to tell the algorithm keep showing me this. And it's been almost a year since I've seen his last video, and I can't remember his name.
uh,
Like so, I know that feeling. Content I've been consuming lately is comedians.
yeah.
It's kind of my way to decompress and watch these. I've always loved comedians, so I have like these fans of like some. I'm like a fanboying over some comedians right now that I think are really funny. But I'm still a YouTube geek. Like anytime I want to watch something, I'm on YouTube. Um, but I've noticed that I'm not watching the stuff that I used to. Like I go down these little rabbit holes, these weird rabbit holes. So like I've been watching like police interactions with people. Woodworking is another one. Uh, I go and then I'm trying to break free from it because I'm like, nah, I need to change. Like my friend and I used to have this thing where we would always screw up each other's algorithms on YouTube.
Oh,
So
dang.
we would always send each other the weirdest and craziest videos because as soon as you watched it for a certain amount of time, all of a sudden you just got all these videos. So and we would always have to work harder to cleanse it to get back to how we
Oh,
had it set up. So that's like an ongoing. I mean, we still do it to this day because it's the funniest thing ever. But I don't consume like my consumption of content is me going to the movie theaters
yeah.
or every once in a while watching series on streaming services. But I've kind of and being on threads. Threads, I think if I was
Mm.
gonna say I consume a lot of content, it's going on threads and reading what people. But even now, I've been like, especially for this past week, I've kind of just jump on and then jump off because I don't
It
want to get
was crazy.
triggered. And just it's just some of the conversations that have been going on there that just been wild, and I'm just like, I don't even want to see this right now. So, um, that's where I'm at with it.
So actually, this I think will be kind of our last thing as we wrap up, because we are both tired today, by the way. I think it's interesting that we both are expressing that we're consuming probably less content, right? Especially on the platforms that are hoping that we're consuming more, or that we're like staying really engaged. And one of the really interesting conversations I think that needs to be had is there is definitely a growing number of people who are kind of expressing the same thing. There's a lot of, is it Gen Z or Gen Alpha? I don't even know, the young ones,
I'm
where
so confused.
they're
I don't even know
I don't
anymore.
know who they are. They're young. They are. I've met people who are younger who are like, I don't want a they want an analog phone. Like they want like a flip phone. I've seen people with flip phones on purpose. They're like, we don't want to even bother. So I think having those skills of connecting with people analog, like in real person, will probably become increasingly more important over time. That's why actually I like certain aspects of what people are doing on Substack. People creating zines, people designing flyers or like half sheets and then plastering light poles with like a QR and asking them funny questions. Um, Folks designing things in such a way where it's not like energetically exhausting for the audience that they want to attract. Um, I really am enjoying those types of projects as well. Um, I just am starting to actually, it's been a while. It's been a ongoing process of just being like, I'm not interested in this anymore because it's not giving me what I think they're telling us it should be giving us. I think it's really interesting that record shops are growing. In Denver, there are record shops everywhere. They just opened a new one. I just saw it. Like there, so I think that there's this quiet pushback against this constantly online experience of things, whether it is what we're doing here. I mean, people are engaged. They've been here. We appreciate you, but that this is also why I want to do like in-person things. I want to see your faces. I've been really lucky to meet a lot of people who are subscribed to Creators Getting Paid and like really lucky to hang out with people in person. I like that energy gives me life. I love knowing, Alan and, Dee Dee and, Stephanie and all these, Paulette and like all these amazing people and like talking to them about what they're doing, whether it is in person or via Zoom, because we live in different places. And I think that's also a form of creating content, like creating space to hang out, you know? That's content. It doesn't have to be shared after it happens either. It happened.
I could tell you as a community builder that I think the answer is building a community like around your content. Um, we're human beings. We like to be engaged with each other. We're social animals. No matter how much somebody might claim to be a loner, um, we still need like we need hugs. We need physical interaction. We need communication. So I think it's the old saying, too much of anything is a bad thing. And I think that's
Yep.
what social media does is it's nonstop. It's constant. It's not like like back in the days where the TV would go off at a certain amount of time. It's no matter no matter what you do, you as soon as you open that app, it's just punching you in the
Yeah.
face. It's just boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom, right? And depending on
Yeah.
what if you're on TikTok, it's like you said, it's just constant. Just doom scroll. I mean, they call it doom scrolling. That's not a
But
positive. That's not a positive term, right? This whoever came up with it with a G said it perfectly.
genius.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, so what you're seeing is you are seeing people revolting or breaking themselves. Oh God, I'm about to do a Matrix reference. Oh no.
Do it.
Um,
Do it. Do
you know,
it.
breaking away from the Matrix, waking up in the Matrix, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I think that's an opportunity for us as business people, as creators, to like. I'm always looking for the gaps where people, where the sky is falling. To me, there's always an opportunity there. So if people are leaving social media, that means they're looking for the social aspect somewhere else. And I think we need to look at our creation process as more than just putting out content out on social media, but how do we put it out in real life? Because you experienced it last year. I so many people just joined up the BPA simply because the social aspect of the summer social. Like I got on, like I followed up with people and got on calls because I didn't get a chance to really introduce myself to a lot of people that were there because we've been so busy. So I was like, oh, let me get on a call with you. Thank you for coming, and we engaged in some conversations. And immediately later, I go on BPS. See, they signed up. So
Wow.
there is a social component that I think we as creators can capitalize off of, for those people who are freeing themselves from the matrix, right? Or freeing them, or limiting. Because if you're constantly making content for social media and people are leaving it, guess what?
But
Who are you
but
talking to?
it's not just making content for social media. It's just like a broader like just making
I
content,
know. Yeah.
you know.
I
But I
yeah.
just want to like provide that clarity for the audience as well. Like maybe you pause and you just market all the content that you've already made.
So I did. I had a one of our members. Me and him had a talk, and he has like a ton of podcast episodes. And he was trying to figure out for his newsletter. Like I was telling him, you need to. I was giving him the same advice was given to me. I give to everybody. You need a newsletter. You need some kind of
Uh,
mailing list. Something. Just get it going, right?
mhm.
Um, and I was telling him when he told me how many episodes I had. I said, did you ever think about maybe doing like a before and after? Like go
Ooh,
back, review your podcast, do a write up of like what you were thinking before you did this interview with this person, and that write up you do the before and after. Here's where I was at when I did this interview because he does like business
mhm,
conversations with business people about certain topics. Here's where I was
mhm.
at, and here's where I am, and you get to repurpose the content and get drive people to that content
That's a great
versus
idea.
having to constantly keep making new episodes.
Mhm.
And I have just looked at his newsletter yet. I'm terrible with that part, but I'm
Ah,
gonna follow up with him to see if he did that because I think like if you have like 300 episodes of your podcast, that's an opportunity to build that, like you said, the new audience that sign up for your newsletter. It's an opportunity to bring them into yours to get to know you. And what better way to get to know somebody to learn about their transition from where they were and what going from A to B or A to Z,
mhm, mhm,
so that they can connect with you and get them to look at repurpose your old content.
mhm,
So like that's why I say I love the idea that you said people got to think outside the box because sometimes I learned this in music when I was in the music industry in the early 2000 late 90s 2000s, which was when the mixtape game out here in Queens when DJ Clue came out. Everybody when I was doing servicing to DJs when I would bring them records and stuff, everybody was like, I need exclusives because they saw the success he was having and they
mhm.
copycat. And a lot of people think that's the avenue to success, and it's not. It's just it's just thinking out
I
the
just
box. It just takes more work.
I just got excited. Actually, we're gonna talk about this because it's so good. Cardi B's album rollout is
Oh, I'm not even
so
gonna lie.
freaking good.
I'm not
Okay,
even mad at her for what she's doing. Like I was like, that was
it's
perfect.
so freaking good, and it's very analog. Actually, she went to Queens. She was out Bodega Baddie hanging out. She's like, I didn't think this many people would come.
I mean, the
She
one
like
thing,
she
like the old
reframed
school
like the
bootleggers,
cells.
yeah, like her
It
doing the
was
sales on the
so
train, all of that,
awesome.
yeah,
On the
yeah.
street with the stuff on the blanket, like I was like, I'm enthralled. And the other part was she started a while ago, right? So she didn't just like, oh hey, by the way. So she spent a lot of time, like I don't know who she was talking to. I don't know if she was with a team who did this or she was like, I've been thinking about this, but I have loved it. It has been so engaging, so interesting. Kelly Rowland will never recover from that interview with her. So it just, I want, I want to just be so excited. Like, not all, it doesn't have to be all the time. I'm just saying, like, every once in a while, do some surprise and delight for your audience as well as for yourself because this is hard work to do to build the things that we're building. And if you can't have some fun with it, it's going to be really hard, I think, to sustain the work you're doing long term. I think it is because it just takes so much time to get from the beginning to the success you're working towards. So I have absolutely Her and Haley Williams from Paramore. Those two ladies, that Paramore rollout where she's like, "Oh, by the way, boop, 17 random, like 17 tracks out of nowhere." And if you were on her newsletter, which was really cool how it's set up, she just was like, "Here are links to the like you just play it on
Wasn't it like on
whatever."
Google Drive or something like you could download
Yeah, it was
Google
something
Drive or something?
wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And guess who I listened to? I have her songs now that they've been released again. Um, I loved that. That was so amazing that like her true fans were obsessed. It was incredible. So I think it doesn't have to be necessarily complicated. I think it's just there's room to be fresh within how you approach putting the content out there. And so that I think that's it. I don't know. Do you guys have any comments, thoughts? Everyone stayed on, but you're
Oh, it's
quiet.
grown. It's grown.
Yeah.
This also something I've come. I think what makes it fun for me, and there might be for other people as well, is I think it's a book also by the same title, but fall in love with the problem, not the solution.
Ooh, I haven't heard of that.
It's in the
Okay.
tech space. It's kind of it's kind of the idea of like
Okay.
you always want to be in love with the problem so that you can keep figuring out ways to solve it versus the
Okay.
solution because it's I think it's easier to fall in love. I'm starting to embrace that concept more, and in doing so, it
Mhm,
keeps me creative because it's like, okay, how can we go about this? It makes me keep asking questions and then
mhm,
asking myself questions of like how, why, how can we do this? Why is this happening? It makes you start looking at things and you start figuring out, okay, well, how can I solve this? What are some ways I can
mhm,
solve this? What are some ways? And then you start to, it's almost like a brainstorming session for me. So
mhm.
I haven't read the book yet, but I know there's a book like, I don't know the title and the author, but it's kind of like Fall in Love with the Problem. I think I have it on my Audible, but I don't know. I just
Ooh.
be picking books on Audible because I got to get rid of my credits. So,
If you remember that one, definitely like let me know because that sounds really interesting. I'm excited about that. Um, I feel like I feel like we haven't come to an answer per se, but I think we've given a lot of food for thought because again, we're on a platform where people are really encouraged to create, be creative, um, grow the audience in whatever way they envision that to be. Because we're also focused on helping people to sustain the work that they're doing, I think that's why we wanted to also like reflect on okay, you're doing all this stuff. Is it going to help you get to where you're wanting to go, whether that's more subscribers, more income, more community members, like whatever, you know, it is that you're envisioning for yourself. And I think it's an important conversation to have from time to time, just so that you're building in a way that stays true to the vision that you have for the project that you have, you know. I think
yep.
that's it. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts? Quiet people. Uh, seriously, do you have any questions, thoughts, anything that you want to share, experiences before we say our goodbyes? I want to lay down. You know what? Actually, here's another example. I brought it up, I think, the other day of something that I'm super excited about that is based on something old, but it's being done in a really cool and fresh way, which is a show, Alien Aliens Earth. Is it with the S? Is that my black thing where I add an S to everything? Anyway, I'm going to say Aliens Earth is so good. Okay. And I'm going to talk about a specific part of what they're doing really well that I find very interesting. There are, yes, Marcus, it's so good. There are a lot of very compelling parts to that show, but one that I find really interesting is this exploration of youth. They have young people whose consciousness have been like moved into adult bodies. And so it's very interesting having this alien that they're encountering. but they're children in adult bodies having these crazy experiences and watching how they navigate those moments, even though we're looking or like older young adult bodies. So we're watching them navigate this, but they're kids. They're like some of them young kids, but they don't look it. And so I think that's a really like interesting and fresh take on a trope that they've been working on years after year after year after year. It's totally different in reimagining of the story and the experience and the aliens. And actually, the aliens that they've designed for the show are also really interesting. There's the xenomorph, the one that we're used to, and then there's these additional ones. And so, as an audience member who's watching this is fresh and new for me, right? Um, there are people who watch The Real Housewives. I am not I've watched it occasionally, but I can't get excited about it because it feels like the same thing over like it doesn't it's it's light enough that I'm like, okay. Like it's the same thing over and over again. But the real house but the show that got me really excited was the one that they did in Tampa. I don't know if that was a Real Housewives, but they had one in Tampa and it was an all black cast. And I was like, this is so interesting because who goes to Tampa like for this type of show? It's like when they come to Denver, it catches you off guard. You're very confused. Kind of like the dating show that they just released the season of in Denver. I think it's going to be messy, but it's like feels very random. So I'm just saying, like, do stuff. It could be the same thing, but from a different like perspective, and it'll be so interesting. Anywho, I am tired. Do you want to reintroduce yourself, Corey, before we go? You're on mute. You're on mute.
I hit the button. My bad. Yeah. Shh. I don't know. I'm getting some weird feedback. I don't know if you can hear that. Some
um,
kind.
every once in a while, it's very light though.
There's some interference going on. I'm still having problems with my tech. Marcus, I might need to
Actually,
talk to
no,
you
no,
real.
no. Wait. Talking about aliens. This is the craziest thing I'm going to share. Have you been watching that guy in Panama who allegedly found a meteor and now there's an alien in his locker? That's compelling content right there because that's crazy. Google it
But
and
Michelle,
then text message me.
you remind me of my son that was on like used to be on the weird side of YouTube, and I'm like, how did you find this?
I did not. I don't know how it came to me, okay? Because I'm not about that life. But so you need to Google it, okay? Because it's talking about short video, like he's on that man's on a journey. People are freaking out. Allegedly kicked him out of the house because they're like, you can't have the alien in that safe in our house. We're afraid. Check it out. It's amazing. I'm just saying. Introduce yourself.
Well, at least we know at least we know every week we're going to get some new content creators to follow because of Michelle. This is crazy.
Oh
Why am I
God.
getting all this interference?
I don't know why. I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
don't know either. But I'm Corey Gov. I'm going to wrap it up because it's getting painful on my
Uh,
side.
oh,
Sir,
take
can
him
you hear
out.
me now?
Yeah, it's weird but good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a weird situation, but keep going. Keep going.
You go. You go.
No, it's fine. Okay, I'll go. Hey, Anthony. My name is Michelle Jackson. I'm the founder of Creators Getting Paid. Things got wildly crazy towards the end of this conversation because we are tired. I like to ask people how they make money, with the hope that it helps other creators build financially sustainable brands. Um, Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate your time. Next week, we'll be meeting on Tuesday at the same time, 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. I don't remember what the topic is, but if you see the poster on my feed, on my notes feed, you'll see what the topic is. Uh, Corey.
Go up. It'll be a surprise. That's all.
Okay.
I'm Corey
Okay.
Gums. I am the founder of the Black Podcast Association and Black Pod News right here on Substack. I don't know what's going on with my tech, but I'm sorry, y'all. It's always something every week, right, Michelle? So if you're hearing it's crazy how bad
We
it just
can't, we
got.
can't, we can't hear it.
Some people can. Marcus can hear it.
Really?
Yeah, it's like it just got bad all of a sudden. But anyway, Corey Gums, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. And I'll see everybody next week.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye.